Yo, we're Galaxy and we're a drum and bass duo from the UK. Have been for 9 years and we've been signed to Shogun Audio since 2017.
Since then, we've released our debut album, Research and Development, and a handful of other EPs.
We've put this course together for DNB Academy, covering our whole process of writing a drum and bass tune from start to finish.
So we give you an insight into our process and specifics of drum production, sound design, melodic ideas, and sources of inspiration, including some samples as well. And ending with a mixing and mastering session to get your tunes ready for release and to play out in the clubs. This is Galaxy, and you're watching our drum and bass masterclass for DNB Academy.
Hello everyone, my name is Nick. I'm a drum and bass producer from Florida. I go by the alias of DATU, D-A-T-U. I have releases on Heart Twice, FX 909, Music, Grand Theft Audio, and then I also have some upcoming releases with Celsius, Focus, Triple Vision, and then also Subwavelength. And I've also released music with Liz Play as well. So today I'm going to do a track breakdown on behalf of Drum and Bass Academy. Thanks again, Drum and Bass Academy, for having me. But I'm doing a track breakdown on a forthcoming tune. Can't really tell you which label or when it's coming out. It is coming out this year, and it is a collab with one of my friends, another drum and bass producer from Florida named Impression. And pretty much what I'm going to do today is show you the track. I'm going to play you the first drop from beginning to end. I can't really show you the whole track just due to it not coming out yet when this video comes out. But with this video, I'm going to show you guys how I went about this track, how we went about this track with the music, samples, bass, drums, FX, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to show you the track. Here it is. And I'm going to play the first drop for you guys. So yeah, that's the track. And first, what got me inspired on this track, or what got us inspired on this track, I mainly listen to a lot of hip hop, you know, trap hip hop. Being from the States, that's all you listen. That's all you hear on the radio. And the reason why I like it is I like the samples that they use. I also like old school hip hop. It kind of reminded me of that too. So I'm gonna show you guys the sample real quick. I'm gonna show you more of how I made it in a second, but pretty much this is what you hear throughout the whole song, and it's, you know, it's what kind of like we structured the song around this sample, with the bass, you know, with the sub, and, you know, with the drums and everything else as well, all the other musical elements and the arps too as well. We made sure that all that stuff went with this main sample. So this is what the main sample sounds like after, you know, all the effects and stuff like that. So that is the main sample that you guys hear throughout most of the tune. I'm going to show you guys how I came about that. Alright, so this is the main sample. I labeled it main sample because I didn't want to get lost with it. This is pretty much how the tune was made. So the main sample is two things layered. It is a sample from Splice. What it is a reverse guitar. I reversed it myself, and then I kind of played with it a little bit more. And then it's a piano reverse sample as well. Pretty much it's a piano, but, you know, I reversed it as well. Pretty much I layered them too. I just had this kind of, you know, be more of an I mean, this is more of an atmospheric sound anyways, all in all, but I mixed it down to where it's not too loud either, but you can kind of hear them both complement each other. So I'm going to show you the first sample just because that is what I first found. I'm going to take all these effects out just for you guys so we can hear what the sample sounds like without all these cool effects to help push it. So, oops. Let me play this part. Kind of has that hip hop, you know. It's cool. And if I reverse it, it's a hip hop sample, you know. And then you know, I started playing with effects. I usually have an effects rack that I play with, and then I start adding or deleting whatever. I always, it speeds up the work process, so it's always good to, like, once you have that good effects rack, you're gonna be like, and you make sure you save it after you're done with the project, and you like, oh yeah, this effects rack bangs my samples or whatever it is, pianos, I don't know. You kind of want to save it. Ableton allows you to save stuff, so I'll just show you real quick. You know, you create your effects rack, and then you have an audio effect rack, audio effect rack, and you just drag that in, and then you just start dragging stuff into the actual audio effect rack, and then after everything's there, you can hit this like floppy disk looking thing, and then you just create, you know, whatever you gotta save there. So pretty cool. Alright, so first thing ain't first, I always add pan to my samples. I don't know if this is actually correct on how you should do it, but I believe it kind of leaves more room for the, you know, the main sound, which is the bass, obviously. And it also creates this cool, like, left and right. So I'm going to play without it, and then I'm going to play with it. And then I'm going to start adding. Kind of creates that left and right. It's pretty cool. Then I start EQing it. Take out the low end. I typically don't do this anymore with the low end. I kind of leave a little bit more of the low end there. Or maybe the sample just called for doing that. I don't know. It all depends. You just gotta trust your ears. You know, get feedback from others as well. That's always a big thing, is get feedback. Just to see what other people think about the tune, and then, you know, just go from there. But anyways, I boosted the high end here, and I took more of the highs out. Then I start adding reverb. Put a filter in the reverb. I took the low end out, kind of focused around the 13K area. Then I added some decay automation. I'm gonna scroll in here for you guys, but you can kind of see how I have it, and I kind of match it with the bass line actually. Well, not really, never mind. But I kind of, you know, every time it does like kind of like a chord progression to me, like chord compression type of automation. Then I play with the dry wet, and this is more matching the bass line. So that's how I did that. Then I add the Yo Man. It's an Ableton stock plugin, but it's pretty much like a chorus. So adds a little color. And then I play with the dry wet and then the feedback as well. I made sure the polarity was negative. And then you know, just mixed it to taste. And then I added thermal, which is an output plugin. And what I used one of the presets, subtle sweetener, and I just played with the sweetener and light effects and the dry wet. So that's what it sounds with it. Without it, it adds a little color, as you can hear. Got a saturated going to push the sound. Adds more color too. Additional EQ, because the saturator and all that stuff and all these other effects kind of like pushes the sound a little bit more, you know, creates the low end again and all that stuff. And then I just kind of copied and pasted the same EQ, but I mixed it to taste. Boosted the high end around the 2K mark. And then did an auto filter, create more movement, makes it more interesting. See, it's like sustained here, boring. Then auto filter. Then I did thermal. I'm sorry, tremolo. I used the Ableton stock plugin for this. Kind of see how it's doing here, but this is the movement I created with it. Creates a little bit more movement to it, makes it cooler. See, you hear how it's, when it gets bigger, it goes whoop, whoop. Alright. So that's that sample, and then I have the second sample here. Alright, I'm going to show you what I did here. I pretty much copied and pasted the last one. The last FX rack. As I said, I use the same FX rack for almost all my musical elements, and I just add and subtract whatever is needed. So, how the sample sounds like. This is what it was reversed. Or not reverse, original. Made it cool by reversing it. Added some auto pan again. EQ'd it, just took the low end out. Took a little bit of the high end out. Add some reverb. I didn't really do anything with the dry, wet. DK, it didn't really do much with it. As I said, it's just a layer. But just a little automation. Add a saturator to push the sound more. EQ. Took the low end out, boosted the high end area again around 65K. Then I added an auto filter, did some automation there. You know, just to create more movement. This is what it sounds like together. I can kind of hear some resonance sounds. I mean, I just pretty much bounced this, and then that's how this was created here. Let me turn this off so you guys doesn't accidentally hear it. And that's, we pretty much bounced it, and then we just layered it again, mixed it. So the resonance isn't really that bad in this part right here. But you kind of get the gist of it, of how, you know, you can kind of create more movement with your samples and stuff like that. So after that, I created the bass, the sub. So I'm going to show you how the sub was created. Let me just make sure. Okay, cool. So it's just a simple 3-chord progression type, you know, roll-in bass. So here, kind of, I have an unconventional way of, or non-traditional way of making a sub. But here I have a sub in the sub oscillator with a direct out, oscillator A, just a triangle wave. And then I got the filter, filtering the A oscillator using a low, we call it a low, what is a LB? I forget what these things are. Hold on one second. Low bandpass filter. There it is. Anyways, so this is how it sounds like. I'm just gonna show you guys. So just with the oscillator. Then I added a sub. Doesn't really do much. And then I added a filter. I'm going to take these effects out so we have an idea what it sounds like. Alright. And then here I added these effects. So I'm going to turn these off for you guys so we kind of see. So that's what it sounds like without the effects. And then when I start, so I added a hyper dimension. Gives it more of like a Reese feel. Add a unison to it, and then I start playing with the detune and rate. Then I add distortion. Use the tube distortion and add a drive to it. And then added some compression. Used a multiband within Serum. Creates that high end. Alright, and then I use a filter. I use a low pass filter. To cut the high end, and then I use the EQ to boost the low end more. Cool. So that's how that was made. And then I had this, you know, the wobble bass added onto it. So this is what it sounds like. I'm just gonna play the patch itself. Alright. Oh, I forgot to say with the sub. So with the sub, what I typically do is I'll EQ the high end out. So here's what it sounds like without the filter. And then I add the filter. I also take the stereo out as well. So I make sure it's in mid-side mode or mono stereo. And I take out all the stereo because it's the sub. Oops. And then I filter out the high end, and then I add a limiter. So with that, then I start doing the liquid bass. I'm going to turn out the effects rack for you guys. And let me just show you the patch real quick. So what I do here is I have a sine wave and then another sine wave opposite. I took up the octave, 1 octave, and then 7 semitones and 2 octaves and 7 semitones. Kind of your traditional way of how to make this wobble bass. So let me just show you guys how it sounds like with just oscillator A. When I add oscillator B. And then with the sub. And then I have the LFO 1 at 1/4 T, and then I put it on level 1, modulated with level with the oscillator B level, and then I have LFO 2 at 1/4, and I kind of just played with it here with the modulator amount. And, you know, I just kept, you know, played with it until I felt like it was good. You just want to try to match it. Then with the effects, I just added some chorus. And then I just added regular compression to it. No multiband. Pretty simple patch. And then I added some additional effects, post-processing. So I added a saturator, boost it, then a dynamic tube. Creates that gritty. You can kind of hear it. Then I EQ it, because it's going to go with the sub. You don't want too much low end. And I just add a limiter as well. And then this is how it sounds together. Kind of gritty. So pretty much it's the same pattern until it gets to this the last of the 16 bars, and I just kind of put it up an octave from the, well, not an octave, a couple semitones up. G sharp. So yeah, actually 1 octave from the previous note. And I always have it glide too as well. So with this bass, even with the sub, I have it gliding always. Or a porta, I mean. And I always make sure it's mono, legato, always. For me, at least, I do that. I mean, it's not. There's no traditional way of how to create this. I don't think, at least, but you know, this is a way to make sure your basses, especially when you're layering your bass sounds together. You want to add portamento time, so you can adjust the pitch, adjust the timing of the pitch, and the speed of the pitch. So, and then I'll show you here with the sub. I don't put always, but you know, I try to play with it as well, because I do kind of, you can see here I kind of layer them too. But yeah, at the last part of the 16 bars, I kind of change it up so you can kind of see how you know, you just want to add a little difference at the end. So that's how that went. In the second phrase, I added a secondary bass to it, another layer. I kind of mixed it down more, so you can kind of see here how it's all mixed down. So this is what the bass is. I'm going to turn off the effects rack for you guys. I'm going to open up the patch. So this is kind of like how I do things here. So I pretty much had a sine wave. I played with the oscillator table. Same here, I just copied and pasted it. And then I added a remap to it, creating more of a higher pitch. So and then I added some effects within Serum as well, but I'm going to turn that off for you so we can kind of play with it as we go. So that's what it sounds like. Add a hyper dimension. I didn't really play with it too much besides with the size, mainly the dimension. Chorus, add some chorus to it. Distortion using tube. Boost the drive up just a little bit. And then added a reverb to it, and I made sure it was on plate, and I played with the pre-delay and low cut as well. Then I did an LFO modulation with just the oscillator A. And then I had some saturation. EQ'd it. Added some reverb just a tiny bit. And then another thing too, I did automation with the rate. I don't really recommend doing BPM nowadays. It's I mean, you can. It depends on what you're trying to do, but I feel like if you turn off BPM nowadays, I mean, that's how I make my newer music. But if you turn off BPM, it will go to like this hertz type stuff. You have more control with your bass, with the movement of the bass if you do that. But for this tune, this is how I did it. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, you can kind of see here, I just automated it. It's not really too much craziness. You can kind of see here how it goes right here in this. And then this is how it sounds filtered, or I'm sorry, altogether. So one thing I did here with the bass line is I just copied this, put it over here, because I just thought, you know, just a little change up with the second pattern or with the second phrase of the drop. Just add a little, you know, make it a little different, and you know, just add the layer to it. And that's pretty much how I started writing the tune right there. And then pretty much I just copied and pasted it all the way through, and then I just started playing with the drums now after that. Actually, no, I started playing with more of the music again. So I started adding arps and all that stuff, so you can kind of see, you know, mainly all these are samples from Splice. And I'm gonna show you guys. So I'm gonna show you guys from the drop what it sounds like, just music wise. So I had this response, like pretty much call and response type of vibe to it. I just added some arps. I'm going to go more into the original part of it. So here, no, I don't think that. Here we go. So these are all the arps, saxes and all that stuff, pads, violin, synth. Add this there too as well, because I think that was part of it. So here I have this ARP, ear candy ARP. Oops. Sorry about that, guys. That noise. So pretty much what this noise is. Why isn't it playing? Hold on. I'm just mute all this stuff real quick for you guys so we don't get confused. Because I don't want to get confused. So pretty much same FX rack almost. The little different on with what to add here. So that's what it sounds like. And then I added some pan. Let me turn this off. Add some pan, some EQ. Turn that off. Some reverb. Sorry, reverb. I didn't do any automation to it. Saturation. More EQ. So, most of these are just samples from Splice. So, what else? I got this one as well. Just started adding, just kept adding. Oops. Gosh. Sorry, guys. Alright. Beautiful saxophone. Alright. So this is from a sample. I chopped it. And pretty much what I did is I just added more effects to it. Made it one-shotty. You kind of see I just added some pan, EQ, reverb, did a little automation to the reverb to make a tail, saturator, more EQ, and then this auto filter just to turn it down as it goes. Then I added this ARP. So with this, it was a little different. This is what the ARP sounds like. Add some auto pan. EQ'd it. Add some reverb. Mixed it to the rest of the tune as well. Add some OTT to push it. And then EQ'd it more to push the high end a little bit on that. So that's how that turned out. Then had this sound, I think. So what this is from the beginning of the tune. I actually made this as the main pad, so it doesn't actually go within the drop, but this is just a layer to go with the intro actually. So this doesn't actually go here in within the tune, but oops. So this is what you heard in the beginning of the tune, and what I did here, I'll just show you guys. I didn't really do too much with it. It's just a sample. This is what it sounds like. Pretty cool though. Pan, filter, reverb, saturator, more EQ. And this is how the tune started when I showed you guys at the beginning of the tune. So that's how that came about. Then I also have this ARP that I resampled. And you can kind of see the effects rack here. I'll turn off how it sounded originally. So I added auto pan like before, EQ, reverb, automated reverb, created a tail, add some delay, saturator, and then EQ'd it again, cut out the mids just a little bit. So yeah, that's how the first two phrases of the tune went. Pretty much you can kind of see here how it is kind of a call response. I just added this little ARP thing in the second phrase to fill it more. But pretty much, you know, this tune is based off of off the bass. It's a bass track, you know, so. Then I added this ARP too as well. Here, I'll show you guys ARP. I'll turn this off so you guys can kind of hear what it sounded like before. Post-processing, you know. Auto pan. I filtered it, took the lows out. Did some automation with a dry wet there. Then I added some delay. Automation to delay. Kind of hear that click. I think I got rid of it in one of these effects. Saturator, push it. More EQ. Auto filter. I automated it. And then I did added more EQ, I think, just to get rid of the click. Yeah, it's not as bad as before. So yeah, that's how that sound came about. And pretty much that's how the first two phrases were made. So now I'm going to go into the third phrase, which is a little different from the first two phrases. I stripped back the main sample that you guys hear here, and it just drops out. So I start adding all these other elements into it. So So that ARP, it's going to be, I wonder if it's going to be one of these ARPs. Nope. Nope. Okay. Maybe, nope, it's not going to be that. So yeah, it is this one, it looks like. It's one of these ARPs. Where's this one? Huh. I don't know which ARP it is. Okay. Well, anyways, you know, this is just pretty much showing you guys how I went about on arranging the third phrase. So that melody here, I just I just layered it pretty much. It's Pluck 20. It's just a preset from DNB Academy. And, you know, I just played with it a little bit. You can kind of see here. It's just a preset. And then add some post-processing, pretty much copied and pasted the same thing again. Auto pan. This is what it sounds like without the post-processing. Add reverb. Saturation. Reverb again. Then EQ'd it. And it's the same thing. I just double layered it and then I mixed it down. I mixed it. And then here, in this part, you hear this like pad thing. Oh, that's the melody, sorry. This pad. Well, there's two pads actually. So that's like a violin lead type of thing that we made. It's actually just a preset. Let me see if I can still find it. Here it is. So this is it. Let me just make sure this is soloed because I don't want to hear the whole song. It is a good tune, but yeah. Let me just. Alright, so this is how it was made. It is a lead violin synth preset from Artifacts. Pretty cool. Did a little post-processing to it. You know, just copying and pasted it again. Play with the auto pan a little bit more. This is what it sounds like. Pretty cool. Add some auto pan. Some EQ. Reverb. Saturation. EQ. And then I'm going to show you guys the pad that you guys kind of hear in this, like the second part here. So this pad. So you only really hear that in the last phrase. I just added that just to push the song more. Add more, what do you call it? Progression. And over here, I mean, what I'm showing you down here is what the initial idea was. And then I bounced it down to stems and I sent it to Eric, impression. He had his go. And then, me and him sat down, rearranged the tune together. But this is what the pad is. So, it's a Vital preset. It's actually a preset from DNB Academy in the Alex pack. And I just played with it a little bit. I didn't really add too much to it, but it's just all about experimenting and all that stuff. Oh, actually no, it's the Abby Sun preset, which is actually just a regular preset within Vital. Okay, cool. Anyways, so this is what it sounds like. Gosh, I keep doing that. let's take out all the effects so you guys can kind of hear what the post-processing does. Sounds really, it sounds wet a little bit, but I'm gonna make it cooler. So add some auto pan again. You can kind of hear go left right real quick. Barely notice it. EQ it. This is more of a high-end texture. Add some reverb. I had to mix it to taste, obviously. And then saturation to boost it. And then more EQ. And that's how that musical part was made. And you can kind of see this is it right here. So that's how that part was made. Alright. And then I'm gonna go into the vocals a little bit. Pretty much this is a sample from Splice. This is the original vocals and how they were lined up. So this is all from Splice. Trying to see, because I did, let me see. That is not, oh, here it is. Okay. That was the original vocals that we played with. Alright. So this is pretty much what the Vox are originally. So what this is let me show you guys. So I just made it, I just copy and pasted it, made it an octave higher, and then I just chopped up the vocal. So this first hit is just 7 semitones down. And then pretty much how this was made, I just use a M auto pitch. I just set it to minor scale. I didn't really do too much here. Then I did some chorus using the towel plugin. And then I'm just going to show you guys how it sounds like without these effects, actually. Because that's probably what you guys want to hear. Let me turn this off too. As you can see here, this is 12 semitones down. So this is what it is without it. And then this is the... I kind of want to hear this part. That's funny. Alright, let's see. So this is the vocal. I just add an M auto pitch.
Tell me, will you ever come home?
And I did play with it, actually, it sounds like. Oh, I played with the format pitch shift format. I just played with it a little bit, just put it down 3 dB or -3.
Tell me, will you ever come home?
So this is what it sounds
Tell
like.
me, will you ever come home?
And then towel chorus.
Tell me, will you ever
Add
come
some
home?
chorus to it. Add some Arvox. Great plugin to help boost the vocals.
Tell me, will you ever come home?
Add some Pro Q, some EQ to it. I just took the low end and boosted the high end and cut a little bit the high
Tell me,
end.
will you ever come home? Tell me, will you
So that's
ever
what that sounds
come
like.
home?
Add some reverb.
Tell me, will you ever come home?
And then some delay.
Tell me, will you ever come home?
So this H delay is like one of my favorite plugins. I use the preset dub delay and I just put it at 1/2. And then I just play with the feedback and dry wet and I just automated it. It's probably gonna get annoying there. Sorry guys. Let me turn that off. Alright. And then this is just the whole octave lower. So I just copy and paste it. Nothing, you know. And then layered it. So this is where the drop is. Nothing really too crazy, you know, you're just your basic delay just to fill the tune out more. And then another thing I did here is I just resampled that long delay and I just made a reverse. And all together, this is how it sounds. You always want to do a reverse when you're doing vocals, or that's my recommendation at least. I just add crazy reverb to it. Alright, let's just play from here. Pretty cool. I always recommend reversing your vocals, going into vocals. So, I don't know. I feel like vocals hit. It's not as smooth when it gets into it. So, I feel like it's smoother with the listener's ear if you reverse the vocals into the actual vocals. I probably could have done more with this, but you know, we just kept it simple, and I did a little bit of you know, fading out at the end. So we'll turn that off for y'all, and that's how the Vox was made. Alright, I'm gonna go back into the bass, because one thing I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did switch up the MIDI for the third phrase. And you guys can see here, you know, the third phrase is just a little different. So let me just play it again. Actually, I'm just gonna play the bass. Actually, I'm gonna start from the second phrase so you can hear the difference. So you can see here, I forgot to tell you guys, I did add some automation here just so it's that higher octave bass isn't as loud. I did it especially in the sub. And then when it switches, I did that as well here. I just, so it's not as loud. But it's also sounding cool too as well, because if you hear it with the rest of the tune, this is what it sounds like. So it's pretty cool. You want to try some automations usually within, you know, throughout everything actually with the volume. It's pretty cool. So yeah, I just switched it up. I pretty much just used this original MIDI and I just chopped it and I played with it so, you know, I thought it sounded cool, and, you know, it's pretty much what happened there. And then another thing I did too with this switch, I automated the on-off of it, so it creates this like gap kind of thing. So you can kind of see it turns off. There's no bass there, so it's pretty cool, you know, having gaps and stuff like that with your bass. One thing I did add here was the like wrong, if you heard that. So I'm gonna show you guys what that is. So I did sound design this bass. Actually, I made it when I was in Portugal, and I actually used this sound in another tune, but it's not the same sound actually, because I play with the rate of it. So pretty much this is just a layer, so I'm just gonna play it without the post-processing. So that's what it sounds like with post-processing. I'm going to turn off all the effects within Serum so you guys can have an idea. So I just played with, you know, I made it the default wave, which is the triangle wave, and then in oscillator A and oscillator B, I used the Monster 5, and I put it up 1 octave. Then I added a filter on both of them. I took out the, pretty much I took out the high end of it, but I also added a macro to it where it, like, I just play with this macro and it will play, because like, this is the range I wanted to always go in. You know, you just want to play it by ear. But let me turn off the filter. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like some dubstep sound. Can make some fucking dubstep with that. But anyways, I'm gonna turn off oscillator B, show you what it sounds like. I boosted a unison and played with detune and blend. Then I added the oscillator B, turned it up 1 octave. Just played around with the different wave shapes, wavetables. Then I boosted up the, I turned it up to 6 unison, played with the detune and blend. And then I got the weight, LFO here with the weight position, which like, kind of like, you can kind of see how it moves there. I modulated it with that. And then LFO 1 is kind of, I added it with level, in oscillator A and B, and I also added in the filter. So there, that's how that goes. And then FX, I added some dimension, some chorus, some distortion. Wait, I forgot to turn this on. Oops. There it is. Okay. Add some distortion. Let me just go back. Okay. Add some compression. Reverb. Kind of gives that cool. And then add some movement to the frequency in the low end area. Mid-range, low mid-range area. And then you can kind of see the modulation LFO1. I added that to EQ, the frequency there, and then also drive. So that's how I made the bass patch. And then add some saturation. Always add some saturation. Add some EQing. I just took out the low end. And then just some reverb. And that's how the bass was made there. And then another thing I did too as well is I added more post-processing on the actual bus. So I added some saturation. So I'm going to turn all this off for y'all. Probably don't know why I have all that stuff, but whatever. Okay. Okay, so add some so this is what it sounds like. Add some saturation. Compression. You can kind of hear it goes with the kick though. Add some EQ just to take out the stereo out of 120 and higher. And then I had a limiter. And that's how my bass sound design is pretty much driven by all this, because without this bus, it won't be as strong. I'm gonna tell you that. So that's the bass. That's the bass. Now I'm gonna go over drums with you guys real quick. I mean, I don't really do much with the drums, but go over to kick. So I layer 2 kicks. So added, and I had all this stuff added to it, but I'm gonna turn these off and show you what it sounds like without it. It doesn't really sound too much of a difference. Just trying to take out that low end. Let me just play the main kick. Kind of hear some click, click. You want to click, always want clicks in your kicks. So I add some trash. Didn't really do much with it, just tape saturation, EQ. Take out the power of the low end, transient, shaper, added attack, decrease the sustain to make it more clicky. This Ozone Pro, which is mainly just to help mix it more for me. I typically use this, but I don't really use Ozone Pro anymore. Oh wow, I showed you guys the wrong one, sorry. So, okay, this is what it sounds like. Alright, that's without all the post-processing. Add some trash. Tape saturation, EQ, and a transient shaper. Then I had this second kick, and all I did was just add some trash, tape saturation, and then EQ. That's how they both sound together. Then I got the snare. Let's take out all this post-processing. So that's what the snare sounds like. So when I add trash, this is what it sounds like. I just boosted the drive up with tape saturation. Add EQ, took out the low. Transient shaper, increased the attack, took down the sustain a little bit. add some reverb to it, to have more, to create more room, or not room, but make it more, to fill up more room. And this EQ I didn't use. Then I layered a break on top of it all. So I added Soothe. So I took Soothe out. I'm going to take all these out. This is what it sounds like without it. So this, I add some tape saturation. Add some EQ to take out the low. Transient shaper. Ozone. Take out the, I try to take out the high end of it with it. And then Soothe to try to smoothen it out. And I don't know if I really, in this one I didn't use it correct, but I just played with it until I thought it sounded good, and I felt like in this area it was like I had the most issues with. So that's when I started playing with it until, you know, I took it down, took it up, until I thought it sounded well with the rest of the track. Added another layer to it. So this layer is, so all I did was just, let me see if I, okay, cool. So take the post-processing out of this. Pretty much this is what it sounds like without it. Add some trash. EQ. Because I mainly want the high end, but it's also layering everything else with the kick and all that stuff. Transient shaper. I didn't really do too much there. I just played with it, you know, play with the attack and sustain, so I thought it felt good with my ear and it mixed well with the rest of the drums. And then some ozone to take out the highs. Next is the shaker. Same process here. Just add some trash, tape saturation, did some EQing. Found some harsh frequencies, I took it down. Then I EQ'd it more with the simple EQ8. Transient shaper, I just added a little bit of attack and took a little bit of sustain out, just to make it more sharp. And then ozone, just to take out more highs. Not even too sure if I'm using ozone correctly. Well, I don't even use that plugin for it anymore, so. But I at the time I thought it sounded cool. Added more breaks to it. Added this like shaker from a sample pack from Monroe. So. And I'm going to show you guys what it sounds like without. So I didn't really do too much. I just added some tape saturation, turned down the drive a little bit, added some EQ, took out the highs, made sure the lows were out. Transient shaper, attack a little bit, sustain down a little bit, and then ozone again just to tame the highs. Then I got this perk. I love this perk. So that's what it sounds like. I'm going to take out all the post-processing. That's what it sounds like. Add some trash. Tape saturation. Some EQing to take out the lows. Transient shaper. Same ordeal here. Add some attack, 26%, and then took down sustain. And then did Ozone Pro to help tame the highs a little bit more. But I think I actually boosted it more here because I needed to cut through the mix more. And then for the switch, we have the call-in break. So we added a Collins break, we chopped it, And this is how it turned out. Kind of clicky. This is what it sounds like without it. Added some trash. Did some tape saturation, boosted the drive, did EQ8, did some EQing to take out the lows, added some transient shaper, added the tag, took down the sustain, and then did the ozone to help tame the highs a little bit at the 10K or more high range. And then for the intro, we had that little drum break that you heard. So what I did there is I just automated the volume, added soothe because the highs are like crazy, but this is how it sounds like without the post-processing. Wouldn't mix well without the post-processing. So I add some trash again, just tape saturation, boosted the drive just a little bit. EQ8, take out the lows. Add transient shaper, boosted the attack, took down the sustain. Took out some peaks. And then added a dynamic EQ in the high end. And then add some reverb. Did some automation with the reverb. Made it go down as the filter opened more. And then add some soothe to it. So on top of this too, I also have a post-processing drum bus rack. So I'm gonna turn these off. So we kind of see how it sounds like without all this post-processing. A lot of post-processing with my drums. I just try to make it bang as much as possible. So this is what it sounds like all together without the post-processing with the on top of it. Sounds alright, you know, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be weak. So I added some reverb. Small, you kind of hear the difference. Added some saturation, you kind of hear it getting better, louder, more reverb. Then I had a FX track for what do you call it, for filtering mainly. Add more reverb. This is always off. Unless I'm like doing something cool. More EQ. It's more of an automation thing for when I do the transition. As you guys can see here, you see how it's doing that. And then this is like a wet dry rack. They call it the New York compression. Kind of similar to parallel compression. But add the EQ, boosted the low end, boosted the highs. Glue compressor, added a soft clip to it, boosted it by 4 dBs. Negative 14 on the threshold. More glue compression, 2 dBs on the makeup, negative 5 on the threshold. Added a soft clip to that as well. And then added some Pro Q. Took out the high end there more, trying to contain it with a dynamic EQ. Then I have another Pro Q, trying to take out more of the peaks. Then I got this automation. As you can see here, here's automation, and this is what it's doing as it's filtering out and trying to take out all the what do you call it, the distortion that came with it as it's filtering. So you can kind of hear as it turns on. Added a limiter, because that's how we do. And then took out some stereo. And that's how I made the drums. So yeah, I'm not really the drum person. I mean, if you're trying to learn how to make cool drums and stuff like that, I'm not the best. I just, I try to fit what I can with the tune, and this is how the tune came out. And I'm really excited about this tune. It sounded really good on speakers, and I just like the whole arrangement of it and how the bass is. And, it's really driven by the bass, but it's cool how it was arranged. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how I made the tune. I referenced it with a few other tunes, and I matched the span with it and matched it pretty well. I mean, I had some issues here and there, but the tune is one of my favorites I've made. It's not complex, it's very simple, and music's not really meant to be complex. I mean, if you're here trying to learn sound design from me, or how to do any of that complex stuff, I'm not really the person for that. But arrangement wise and how to get a vibe going, and the vibe's the most important part anyways, right? So as long as you get the vibe and then you get your tune at 80% to it, to what producing standards, then you can give it off the feedback, give it to labels, and they can help you out. There's labels that help me make better tunes, and then I also have mentors like Human Nature and Anders and stuff like that, Octavate, Coop from Octavate. And then I've been talking to a few other label heads too. Alex FX909 helped me out a lot too as well. So you just try and make your circle with some people that you trust, and you'll go far, because you can lean on those people to help you boost your interest in music, help you produce better, get that feedback that you need. Sometimes you hear a tune to yourself and you're like, oh, it sounds good, then you send it to someone else and they're like, oh, I don't know about that, this is what you can do to help it make better. So it's always good to get that reassurance that your tunes are good. And also another thing too, collabing is also great. So me collabing with Eric Impression, he helped me out a lot. Reassure myself that this tune is good and sounding great. But that's the track breakdown. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope you guys learned a few things here and there. But just make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Follow DNB Academy. They produce great videos. You learn a lot from them. I myself is a student as well, and I started doing this production for 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and now I'm signing on some pretty big labels within the liquid drum and bass scene. So yeah, just hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully I helped you guys out a little bit. But yeah, appreciate your guys' time, and thanks again for watching the video. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
What's up, guys? My name's Axelboy, and welcome to my studio. I'm a UK bass music producer. I like to make UK bass, dubstep, drum and bass, and I'm well known for making sounds like this. If you like those sorts of sounds, then you'll love this masterclass that I've created with DNB Academy. It takes you from start to finish on my creative process when making a DNB banger. The course is over 6 hours long and I'll be using Logic Pro X. I'll be covering sound design, bassline creation, composition and arrangement, and advanced synthesis using Serum. I'll also be covering mixing and mastering to show you how to get that loud and precise Axel Boy sound. This course includes the Logic profile with all of the samples and all of the presets so you can dive straight in and get creative. It's been really great to share this with you and I hope you guys enjoy the course.